All right, it's been a minute since I've done one of these lives, and I'm hoping to have some fun here tonight. I got my brother from across the other side of the pond, and I'm going to do a second interview with my man, the mailman, Rodney Tull. Um, Take my glasses off for a minute, try to get used to the screen. Uh, Wear the glasses all day long, and it's like just kind of relieving the eyes a little bit, you know? So let's do this live and see if we can attract some people, interesting people in behind the scenes. Have a good show here tonight. Second interview. We had such a wonderful interview. The first time I had to bring him back on. My man, um, Rodney Tull, better known as the mailman down in Syracuse.
Certainly, Rochester.
Well, I thought that you extended all the way across
Well,
Rochester.
yeah. Well, my family live in Syracuse, so that's where I spend most my early days in this country, Syracuse.
Do you extend across the Buffalo too as well? Because that's all like in the vicinity, right?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, all around here. Yeah, yeah. Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, yeah. All western New York, right next to Canada.
That's right. Western region of New York.
Yeah, yeah. The best part of New York.
Some people might get offended when you say stuff like that because the Brooklyn people, the New York people will definitely get offended you talking about the best part of New York, right?
Well, you know what? Some people they all they know is the city life. They don't know nothing else but getting out the city and coming and enjoy nature and enjoying the cold. You know, so but to eat his own. Some people like the city life, and some of us like the more relaxing life. You know,
Would you
so
consider over there country like where you at right now?
I mean it's upstate New York, so I consider it not country, but it's not the city faster pace. So it's for me, it's good.
Yeah.
Can raise a family, I mean, so you gotta worry about anything. You gotta worry about no fire truck and no ambulance zooming by your house every minute. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing up here, you get a lot of animals and a lot of bugs and stuff. You know what I mean? But it's all good.
Yeah, I guess you've been in there for a while, so you kind of used to
Yeah,
that now.
yeah. I'm adjusted to this. Yeah, I'm adjusted to this cold, freezing weather over here, just like you.
But doesn't it get the same like down in New York, like down in Brooklyn and Harlem
No,
and these
no,
places?
they don't get that. They don't get the kind of coldness we get up here. You
Ah,
know, yeah. So their winters are a little bit more mild compared to ours up here. Because we get that coming off the what is it the Ritten, the Niagara,
all the lakes.
yeah, the lake effect snow and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, imagine you over there and we over here. We not that far, to be honest. I mean, people talk as if like Canada is really really far from where you
yeah,
guys are, but you just really it's across the river. I mean,
yeah. It's a quick. What is less than maybe what 2.5 hours probably
yeah.
from
I
there.
mean, for me, it's like hour and a half from the border, right?
Right.
Maybe less than that, probably. It doesn't even seem like much for me now. I've done it so many times that
Right.
I don't even
Right.
feel it.
Right. I used to do it a lot going to Fort Erie, but after 9/11, I stopped. We stopped going over because then it became a hustle. So yeah, but we used to go to Fort Erie all the time, me and my boys, all the
Oh,
time.
well, for races?
Yeah, for races, we used to go up there all the time,
Why? Why?
especially
You sorry? I mean, but why though? For people you know or connections or what?
no, we just on sometimes we just want to go to Fort Erie and play the horses. This is going back in the like I said before 9/11. So after
Hmm.
9/11 happened, we stopped because crossing the border becomes a little bit more hectic. So we stopped. we stopped
Yeah.
going over.
But
Yeah.
anytime you get a chance, you can still make that trip. If you're making that trip, let me know because for you is probably a couple hours or so, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, from Rochester to Buffalo is like an hour. So, right there is it's Fort Aries right there. So it's probably maybe hour and a half, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
From Fort Erie to Buffalo, if you're looking at like 15 minutes.
You're right, 15 minutes. Right,
You just
right.
cross
To
the river,
cross the
man.
yeah, cross the what is it, the Rainbow? What is it one? Which I forget which bridge we always go, but the one there right next to Fort Erie, right next to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, it's right there. You just,
Yeah,
make a left and you good to go,
right,
right across the river.
right,
So it's always cool. All
right.
right, so let's get into some chat, man, because you've been
Yeah.
watching the races. What did you watch over on the last weekend? What excited you last weekend?
Well. Not what excited last weekend, but the the guy there, the jockey there that won the Kentucky Derby, Brian Hernandez. I didn't see the fall, but he's got hurt pretty bad. But I heard he's his recovery's coming along. So wishing him all the best.
Yeah, I say the same. That's my guy, man. For many years, Brian Hernandez. You're watching races. If you're gonna make a play or something, he was
Yeah,
the guy that you want to play because, you know, he wasn't
right,
getting the love on the boards.
right,
Probably
right,
still
right.
doesn't. So, but he always tend to end up with horses from a man Kenneth McPeak, and
Getting a bit,
um,
yeah, yeah.
you know, so you always kind of watch those plays, and still
Right,
playing out.
right, right, right. Yeah. So wish him the best. You know what I mean. So it looked like he's gonna make a full recovery. So
Okay, that's nice. That's nice to hear. I saw the post that you've been posting, and I've been watching, and it's always good when a jockey can make a recovery. I know I reached out to Omar Moreno
yeah,
the other day. He told me he was doing okay. So
right,
I don't know where that goes, but there's
right.
always a chance when these guys get on the backs of these horses.
Yeah, it's dangerous, man.
You know,
Dangerous, dangerous.
everybody talks about who's the best rider and best jockey and all that, but I mean, from your experience and you going around and checking out stuff and everything, most jockeys they can ride, right? It's just getting
Yes,
the
most of.
mounts.
Yeah, you're right. To me, if you don't have the horse, you can't do anything. I mean, you can't pick him up and carry him across the wire. The horse got to take you across the wire. But you get here a lot of these arguments, and it tends to hear a lot of pigeons, especially talk about who's the best and who's not the best. But I mean, some people are gifted to ride. Some try. I mean, I ride Ortiz, and he's probably the best right now. But to me, I like his brother Jose. I prefer Jose. It's just that's just my opinion when I handicap and look at look and see who Jose Ortiz is riding before I look and see who Irad is riding.
What makes you sway in that direction, even though Irad has all the stats and everything else that goes with it?
Yeah, he may have the stats, but Jose to me seems to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more, a little bit more smarter rider.
You
But
say who's the older one?
Irad is the older one.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's the older one. Yeah. But both of them are good. You know what I mean? I mean, you got some good riders come. Flavian Pratt. I mean, he's good. Um, I mean, I'm a little East Coast biased, so so,
Yeah, the West Coast. First of
uh,
all, I can't really catch on to those guys like like I used to. Like back in the days, they had guys from the West Coast. Like they had the Garrett Gomez.
yeah.
You know, who else is
Pat Venezuela. Pat
Matt
Venezuela.
Valenzuela?
You
Um,
know, you had those Lafitte Pink High back in those days. You know, David Flores, he was a good writer back in the days. Who was
Mike
so
Smith.
Mike
Everybody
Smith,
forgetting about Mike Smith, you know. I mean, with age now, the people are starting to like put him under the carpet right now, but
yeah,
it's still, you know, it's funny me even saying that right now, how quickly people can put away jockeys and forget
right,
about them because they don't talk about him no more, you
right.
know.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? You bring up his name. I remember back when Mike Smith first came to New York to Aqueduct. You know, he was, you know, he used to ride a lot of horses, man. For those guys, Pete Ferriola, Gasper Mocher. I mean, win a lot of races for them, for those old time trainers back in the back in the 80s.
Hmm.
Yeah, Money Mike, Money Mike. Yeah, yeah.
You made a lot of trips down to the New York tracks, like the Aqueduct and
You
those
know
places.
what? No, I never been to Aqueduct. I've been Belmont, but Aqueduct, no, I never been to Aqueduct. Been to Belmont,
Hmm.
Saratoga. Been to Saratoga 100 times, but you know,
Hmm.
yeah, Belmont.
Well, is it like what people say? They say how it's you
Oh
know
yeah,
it's
man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
kind of track.
It's kind of dry. Saratoga, man. It's even when you walk in, it's different, man. The vibes is different. You
Tell
know,
me about it.
I
Why?
mean, it's just because it got that oldness. It got that, you know, that old buildings, you know, stuff that been built like years ago. You know what I mean? Still there. You know, and the whole track, the whole everything about the track. It's just, you know, and then the people. It's always crowded, you know. I never try to go on the weekend. We always try to go during the week because the weekend is too much. I mean, you don't because you don't want to be standing in lines, you know. You know, it's just it's not fun. You should make it up there one day, man. One, you know, in the summertime.
Yeah,
Put
I
that on your
should. I
you
should.
should.
I wonder about that because you know sometimes the old tracks. So you know, for example, um, you know the people at the newer tracks are probably like, oh, okay, you guys need to get up with the times because you know you guys are a little bit behind. But I mean, at the old tracks, like I was at a few old tracks. I see how the old tracks operate, and I'm really saying that because I'm comparing them all to Woodbine, right? Because
Right,
Woodbine is a modern track. I
right.
mean, it's probably got years and lots of history, but in terms of the upscalement, you know, the modern facility, Woodbine has that.
Right.
And I don't know if you've been there lately, but Woodbine is really upscale, up, you know, it's up there. So you know, you at the track at Saratoga, they still do the tickets. People still bet on their phones and
Yes,
so forth,
yes,
right?
yeah. They still do all that. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, and they're upgrading all the bathrooms and stuff is well upgraded. You know the picnic area. You know, it's well updated. But I'm speaking like the buildings and stuff. They don't. I guess it's a historic track, so they can't do a lot. You know, they can't do a lot of improvements there. I mean, they do improvements to the track itself. You know, the grass course and stuff like that. But for the buildings wise, no. That's money, man. That's big money over there, man. You
Mm,
gotta
yeah.
have you gotta have you gotta have money to be at Saratoga. I mean, to rent a house in the summertime, it's crazy. People rent their houses over there for the whole month and make like 30, 40,000, you know? So yeah,
You mean like people
yeah.
just staying over there for what purpose? For the races?
For races. Yeah, yeah, for the
You
whole
mean to tell
month.
me people come down there just for the
Yeah,
racing?
just for the racing.
How much money you guys got over there across the border, man?
Oh, well, not me. People do. Not me, but people do. Uh, I remember. I know Charlie. He get an apartment over there, and it costs costs him a few bucks. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Uh, But
So
that's
he's
you gotta come
so
over there.
is he renting when he's over there?
Yeah, most of those guys rent because you can't. I mean, you probably can afford to buy a house, but the houses they're so, you know Those people ain't selling those houses.
What I was trying to allude to was like for example at the tracks they don't have like maybe places dorms or whatever that they could stay for I don't know a couple months or something. I don't know.
Maybe just the workers that stayed probably stayed in the dorms, but the trainers and stuff, they gotta get their own place.
Hmm.
I know they gotta travel back from if they live in New York, travel back up, once or twice a week. That's just a long haul. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
drive from to drive from Belmont to Saratoga. For me, from where we at, it takes us just under 3 hours to drive to
Hmm.
Saratoga. Yeah.
Yeah, Saratoga. You know, it's is it it's kind of like how they showcase it on TV where you know you see when the gates are open, people are rushing in, and
Yeah, yeah.
why are they rushing in anyways? Like, what's
I
the
think
deal
that
about that?
they're rushing to get the best picnic spots. I guess they got tables and stuff, and people bring their coolers, and then you know they want the best tables out there. So yeah, that's why
Hmm.
they're rushing to get the good spots, which is
Hmm.
free.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So,
Well, that
yeah.
makes sense then. If you're going to be there all day, you want to make sure you have a
Right,
nice spot.
right, right. You want the best spot. So I'm not into that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We just we we find somewhere to sit and handicap. You know,
Yeah.
I'll just walk around.
All right.
Right,
You know, they just had the Pennsylvania Derby, right?
right.
Um, did you get a chance to watch it?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched the replay. See the Beaza. Yeah, he won
Mhm.
pretty easy. He ain't had sovereignty to deal with. So
There was no
so,
one really, no
yeah,
won pretty easily, I would say.
yeah, yeah. He was much the best, much the best. Well, it make it very interesting for the Breeders' Cup now
Hmm.
because most of these horses are pointing for the Breeders' Cup. So you get journalism, sovereignty, all the big ones,
You know,
all
it's
the big ones
interesting because
going.
sorry, I mean it's interesting, but it's like you know, a lot of times watching races, I don't know about you, but you know, a lot of times, like since you know, once I started getting more and more into the races, looking at the tracks, you know, learning more about the connections and so forth. You know, in back of my head, I feel like if I'm doing the same thing that a lot of handicappers or a lot of other people do too, which is you start to write off the smaller tracks. Like
Yeah,
you start to see horses run at the smaller tracks, and right away I don't even consider them.
right.
So, is do you find the same thing for you too? Is that something that you crosses your mind, or how's that work?
Yeah, I mean the smaller tracks, like when you shipping like a horse. I'm gonna use Finger Lakes horse, shipped from Finger Lakes to Saratoga. It's tough. It's tough to win. So you got to bring the right horse. You know what I mean? You got to have the right horse to run with these. Because these racing horses, especially at Saratoga, they coming to win. They ain't just coming to just to show up. They coming to get the money. So, but smaller tracks, I mean, it got some guys can win. But you got to spot them the right. You got to spot them the right way. Put them in the right spot.
Yeah, I've seen horses from Finger Lakes go down to New York, to Belmont and
Yeah,
to those other tracks down there. I think it's Aqueduct,
yeah,
Belmont,
Aquanaut. Yeah,
and they win.
yeah,
I've seen them
yeah,
win.
yeah.
So I
It's
mean,
possible.
yeah, of course, definitely. You got
Yeah,
the horse in the right form and the right time, and
right,
can do very well. You
right.
know.
Some guy said to me, because somebody made a comment the other day, and I said, racing doesn't run on the farm. You got to put him in the game. I mean, if the race is run on the farm, everybody be a winner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to put him in the game for them to run. So a horse may be 100 to 1, right? But you still got to put him in the game. He may that day he may just decide to run. I'm going to run hard and win. You know, so I every horse have a shot in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I want to touch a little bit on something that I saw on the weekend, which is I watch a race at the same parks in the Pennsylvania Derby on the cars, and Paco Lopez won on a horse that was at like 30 something to one
Yeah,
to one,
coming from
30,
Canterbury.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I saw that.
the horse went up front and just kept going, kept going, kept going.
Uh,
Like no challenges, just kept going
right.
and going and going. But that was pretty cool to watch because the horse, the favorite was like at 1 to 5 or some nonsense like
Yeah,
that, or 2 to 5
yeah,
or something. So I was
yeah,
watching the race and I was like, holy crap! Like the top three were big odds. It completely blew up the odds board.
right,
Whoever hit that walked away from there, smiled, and said, see you guys later.
right,
Won't be back for
right.
another year."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but here's the thing: Paco Lopez. This is a guy who people written off. They kind of like ridicule, crucified. When the incident with the horse, when
Yeah,
he was slapping the horse or something, right?
yeah.
And people, I mean, there were outrageous comments
I know,
underneath the
I know.
videos and stuff. But here he is again, still popping up everywhere and doing some really great things. I saw him down the big race down in Jamaica. He was down there this year. I see him at some really some big races at some
Yeah,
other tracks in the States, and there he was again. What do you think makes this guy a winner and be always up there with the money?
but he tries hard. But I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know if you saw this yet. So the HISA they just came out today, and they had him a 6 month ban.
Who did?
Paco, look,
He
the HISA, the horse racing integrities, some, you know, they, so they recommend they give him a 6 months ban, but they're going to appeal because I mean, to me, you're interfering with a man's livelihood. I mean, how you going to give a guy a 6 months ban for stuff that to me, I mean, the jockeys them they carry that crop to just to tap the horses a couple of times, and from my understanding, they claim that he been fined so many times for overuse usage of the crop, so they give him a 6 months ban. But you'll hear more about that in the coming coming weeks.
I mean, in particular, what race are they referring to when this happened? Do you know?
I think it's over a period of time, more than one race. There's a few races they say that they fight him, and he continued to do so. Now they recommend 6 months ban.
I
Yeah,
find it's
just
kind
came
of
out today.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot? I mean,
No, it's the
it's
first time
new.
seen this happening. First time I seen it actually. I mean, they suspend people and they ban people for electrical devices and stuff. When they catch jockeys with those. But Paco Lopez, I think he was on pace to win like 300 races this year. So yeah, it's messed up.
So is he officially on a suspension or a ban right now?
Um, I suppose it goes into effect. I think beginning today or tomorrow. But like I said, they're going to appeal it. Yeah, it's all online right now. I mean, I get a
Yeah,
couple of people send me texts all day about it. Yeah,
yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize. I mean, it's just what a coincidence. Me bringing up his
yeah,
name and
yeah.
you You
Yeah,
probably thought I knew about it.
yeah, yeah. I thought you did. Uh, yeah. So yeah, Paco. Yeah, he's supposed to get 6 months. So,
Yeah, there
so
it is. Paco Lopez suspended 6 months over whip violation.
yeah,
Man, that's crazy. You know what else is crazy? Because the reason why I bring him up, because like I saw him win that race, and then I was also looking him up, and I was looking at leading rider at Mamoff, leading
yeah.
rider at there's a this other track
Colonial,
with,
Colonial Downs.
yeah. I'm like, how the hell does he be a leading rider at so many different tracks?
Yeah, he do a
How is
lot of
that
moving.
possible, man?
It's,
Oh,
I mean, it's well,
that's
you guys
gangster.
know. Yeah, I mean, it's all on the East Coast, so it's just a mid Atlantic. You know what I mean? So you got Mammoth in Jersey, and then you got Colonial Downs in Virginia, and then you got Parks in Philly. So you can travel around. That yeah, it's just a couple hours to get place to place. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
man.
but
That's
he's suspended.
all right. Well, I guess I have to dig a little bit deeper and see what else is going on
Right.
behind the
Right.
scenes. Because that's kind of harsh. To ban someone 6 months. I mean, I
Yeah, how
get
do
the
you?
feeling when I hear that though, Rodney, is like I feel like if from everything else that happened, I feel like if this is like people reaching out for more.
Yeah, but they got it. I think to me, this is just my opinion. I think the people they just have it in for him as a dirty writer. So people like to you know flex their muscles on people. People in power always try to if they don't like you, they're gonna do whatever they can do to keep you down.
Mm.
So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that about him. I've heard people mention his name when it comes to they say dirty rider, this and that.
right,
Uh,
right.
what makes a rider a dirty rider, by the way?
Well, I never been a jockey. I just I just look and see. But for me, a dirty rider. Well, I'm not saying dirty rider, but people tend to think a dirty rider is a person who rides you close. You know, you know, there's some rules in the game. Where you're supposed to give a jockey or a horse so much space. So sometimes people push people to the edge to see what they can get away with. So yeah, and he's one of those riders, but he's a hard rider. He just rides
Sounds
hard.
sounds like that'll be the kind of rider that the trainer or owner might want. You might want them
Right.
to win some money for you, but
Yeah.
but if he messes up, then I guess that's where the opposite comes in. People be
Right.
very mad at him doing something crazy.
Right.
So, oh,
Well, I see some of them riders, some of those races at the Garrison. Some of them guys, some of them guys ride pretty tight over there
pretty
too.
tight, right?
Pretty tight, man.
Yeah,
Pretty
I've
tight. Pretty
seen.
tight. Pretty tight. Pretty tight. Yeah, I just shake my head sometimes, like, whoa, oh, this guy's pushing the envelope sometimes down in Barbados. But you know what? One thing I say, man, those guys from Barbados, those jockeys, man, they learn the hard way, man. So that's why they can come any. I believe any jockey from Barbados get given the opportunity can actually succeed as long as they get the opportunity in their work habits. You get up in the morning, you come out and you do what you're supposed to do. They can be successful, but you can't come with that attitude like because your name is big in Barbados. You come to Woodbine. I'm just using Woodbine and think you're gonna just be successful. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't work like that, man. You got to put your time in, man.
Are there stories out there with of people taking that route,
Yeah,
being that big guy, and
yeah,
thinking that they're going to be the big fish?
yeah. Some of them. I mean, I I'm pretty sure there are a couple of names out there that who came from Barbados, Jamaica, whatever. Well, I know, and this is a true story. A guy from jockey from Jamaica, you know, I don't want to call no name, but because he was a big in Jamaica, he came to Finger Lakes and he think he was, didn't have to put the work in, don't want to get up early in the morning and come out. It doesn't work like that, man. It's not Jamaica, man. This is Finger Lakes. You got to put the time in. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 So that being said, I mean, you just use an example, a Jamaican jockey,
Mhm.
and we touch a little bit about Barbados too as well. But I want to ask you a serious question here because, across North America, when it comes to the Caribbean jockeys, they don't really, very rare you will find those jockeys really on top of the standings at the better tracks, right?
Right,
I
right,
mean, Patrick Husbands was an exception because and he worked really hard and he didn't come in with all that. He
right.
worked his
He
way, and
worked his
if
way.
you
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stories that he's mentioned too as well, that he
Right,
almost went back home and
right, right,
and blah 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 and all that until he
right,
became Mr. Husbands. But
right.
do you think that that's the knock on some of the jockeys from the Caribbean, or they're starting to figure it out now that they don't work just as
Well,
hard as the other ones?
I think the later what you just said, they figure it out now that you got to work as twice as hard as the other people. Then you can't come in with that. Well, I won 3 gold cups in Barbados. That ain't got nothing to do with here. Here, you gotta earn it. You gotta work for it. So I respect Patrick. He did it the hard way. He opened the door for a lot of those guys. So you just gotta have a work attitude, man. It's just like any job, you know what I mean? If you gotta drive the bus, you gotta get up early and be at work to drive that bus. If you use a garbage collector, you gotta be out there to do that garbage, regardless if it's minus 20 degrees or what. You still gotta go out there and do the job. It's just like me. I still gotta go out there and deliver the people their mail. I still want a paycheck to pay my mortgage, pay my car note, pay my kids' tuition. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like racing. You got to put the time in, man. Those trainers are getting up at 4:30 in the morning and be in the barn. Why can't you be there at 4 o'clock? If they're gonna be there at 4:30, why can't you be there at 4? Right? Don't
Yeah,
come in. Don't come in at 6:30 when everything is ready and smooth and go. You know what I mean? Or 7:30. No, you don't work like that. I mean, I'm speaking from you from talking to trainers over the years and you know and having a close friend in Charlie Baker. He explained a lot of things to me. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah, you got to work, man. I just wish that here at Finger Lakes, I wish I had a big couple of Bajan riders, but it's hard to get visas and stuff these days too. Anyway, so everything is so hard now. So it's a tough game.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because are there a lot of Barbadians in that area that you know of?
Yeah, there's a lot of Bajans live around here, but when you hear Bajans, people people from Barbados are different, man.
Tell me about that
I'm
difference
gonna
'cause
tell
I
you.
gotta
I'm gonna
know.
tell you. I'm tell you, man. I'm tell you, man.
You mean
So,
exceptional or you mean just different?
just, I'm gonna tell you right now. They act funny, man. They act funny. Some people act fun, like they don't want you to know they're from Barbados. You know what I mean?
How
Seriously.
do you know they're from Barbados then?
But as soon as a Bajan open his mouth, you know he's a Bajan. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta think twice. You ain't gotta think. But some of them act, because like I said, I've been around here. I remember when I first moved over here. I didn't know nobody from Barbados. I ain't know nobody. I'm talking about Rochester. I'm not talking Syracuse where I was. Rochester. And at first I was working in the summertime, and then first Bajan guy I met, Chop. Good guy, man. And he introduced me to a lot of older Bajans that were cool. You know what I mean? But then you start to get the younger ones, the younger Bajans, and they act, they act like, you know what I mean? Uh, they act funny, man. Just funny. So I don't really, be honest with you. There's only a select group of Bajans that I really deal with. Be honest with you. Most of the people I deal with is Jamaicans.
As the years go on, I hear the same kind of tune.
Yeah,
It's the more people who are more seasoned in North America, they kind of say the same thing. Unless you
yeah.
live down in Brooklyn or somewhere like that,
Right,
and
right, right.
you
It's
get a
different.
whole crew of people, right? But
Right.
a lot of times, man, you get out there, and people's like, nah, I ain't getting to none of them Barbadian things. I just stay
Yeah,
in my
it's true,
lane.
man. Yeah,
you
it's
know,
true. It's a fact, man. They don't. Up here, I'm saying here in Rochester, you got the Jamaican, Jamaican West Indian Jamaican club. The Barbados people had one, and they just let it after the older people, you know, passed away and move on and stuff. You figure some younger people would take it up. Nah, man, they ain't no Barbados club around here. And from talking to other people, Barbados had one of the best clubs around here in the '80s and the '90s. After them, now these guys, no, no,
interesting. Because
yeah,
I'm working on a sort of a documentary, sort of a like a docu series or whatever. Because and it's going to be based on my Barbados sports club here from Toronto that I
yeah,
used to play football for, play soccer,
right.
and but now there's no longer around because it's done. I guess it died when all the older people are
And
dying.
people,
So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so yeah, I'm
exactly.
working on that, and we'll see it as it comes
Yeah, that's
out.
good. Good. Sounds good. I'll check it
Yeah,
out. Mm.
yeah. So jumping right back into we're talking about Kentucky now, and I saw an article say that Erad Ortiz he was going to take his tack to Kentucky or something like that.
He been right at Churchill Downs. Yeah, for the
So
fall. Just for the
and for the
fall.
fall,
Yeah, just for the fall.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I guess for the winter he's going to jump right back down Gulfstream or somewhere probably.
Yeah, he jumped the Gulf Stream. Jumped the Gulf Stream. You
Hmm.
know, eh, I'm a New York guy, racing guy. You know what I mean? But seems like seems like Churchill, Kentucky, not just Churchill, Kentucky. Seems like they sneaking up. They're gonna be number one in the country for racing. It seems like they want to overtake New York. Because sometimes when you see these guys making these moves, you wonder what do they know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then it's got to be something. Somebody saying something behind the scenes for Iraq to not ride in New York right now. His brother's already done. You think about it. Luis Saez is already there riding. Um, Jose Ortiz, he's there. So you got three of the best. Who's not riding in New York? Then Kentucky. Why? Because the money is better, or because the racing is better?
Hmm.
So
Well, usually when the money's better, it usually makes the racing better. I think.
right,
No.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. But New York is going to be good because they're going to have like three different. It's going to be only be Belmar. There's no more. It's not going to be no more Aqueduct. So then you're gonna have the poly track, the poly track, the dirt track, and the grass track. So the racing is going to be held in one place at Belmont. So no more Aqueduct. I think next year is the last. Next year is supposed to start. See,
So you said no more aqueduct, just
Aqueduct.
Belmont.
Yeah, yeah, just Belmont.
Mm.
Yeah, just gonna be Belmont. That's why they haven't been running at Belmont because they've been doing all that work over there. So yeah,
Do, do
rest-
do you think that racing is still a good sport to be tuning into? Because a lot of people are always got the stuff to say about racing, but it still goes on.
you know what I mean. I love the game. You know what I mean. So for me, I wish they could attract a little bit more younger people. Because you know people dying out. So you gotta get to the young people in. So I guess they one of these social media influencer. This guy got partners in these horses and is trying to bring in more young people. So we'll see.
Yeah, horse racing is such a, it's a sport, but definitely it takes a lot of work, man. I
Yeah,
always say, man, these guys that work with their horses, I can't help but just watch them sometimes and say, you guys do such a phenomenal job because
yeah,
up so early and you're putting the work in and you know times, a horse is just to have that kind of knowledge about
right.
horses. It's unbelievable, man.
Humbling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a love, man. You gotta love it. And it's not for the people that just you gotta love the race and just to for all that time people put in from like I said 4:30 in the morning till what 11, and then you gotta go back and feed at 5 o'clock in the evening. You know what I mean? And when there's racing, you gotta be there all day. Yeah, it's the love. You gotta love the horses. Gotta love the horses.
Let
And,
me ask you this. Let me ask you this because you're a Barbados guy, you're a racing guy. So do you watch the Garrison Savannah?
you know what? I try because most of the time on Saturdays I'm working. So I like to go on YouTube and I follow the races when I can. But you still want to follow your races in New York. You know what I mean? And so they run like the same time. So, but I do follow the racing in my race. Mhm. You know,
Because I was going to ask you. I mean, what for? What's the purpose? I'm just being very honest, being blunt.
I'm just well for me. I guess it's just because that's where it started for me, and I still, I still know a few of the guys that at the track at the Garrison, and so I just like to watch the races. I mean I don't bet on them, but I just like to watch the races.
Could you bet on them from
Yeah.
here, from where you are?
Um, I had when I was down there one time I opened up an account, an online account, but I never because I can't read the farm. You know what I mean? I don't understand the program no more. Like I told you before, they changed since I left there. So, well, for me, I just like to watch and just watch to see how some of the guys ride and you know see how they celebrate and stuff. So yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing though, I would say like the Gold Cup. I, I keep saying this. I wish that people in Barbados would, especially the Barbados tourism board, you know, and the turf club can get together and spread their wings. Because they could bring a lot more people to the island, and I'm pretty sure they can. The island can, need the help. The economy. Speaking about the economy, you know what I mean. The people coming in for that week, So, but I guess they got to do what they got to do. To me, they target more of the big city people instead of a little mid-sized city, in which I think they're losing. They're lacking. You know what I mean? I mean, they can contact me. I could tell them a few things. You know what I'm saying? Listen,
Well,
you,
I mean,
you,
it makes sense. It sounds like sometimes
yeah,
seriousness comes over as a joke, but I
yeah,
mean, I'm pretty sure you're pretty serious about that.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
hey,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
I mean, like to be honest, like um, a lot of times, the way how these things are run, you got like segments of our society, right? So
Right.
a lot of times if I talk to people and I'm talking about horse racing, I can see it, the looks in their faces where they're like horse racing, they're like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know like they don't want to be associated with trackers, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it because sometimes sometimes you hear some stuff and the racetrack is not for any person who's a little bit soft in
Right.
how they
Right.
see things, right? So I get it, but maybe that's the reason why they kind of missed the boat on the opportunity,
Right.
going with people around the track. I don't know.
Right. Right. You,
Uh,
one thing though, I see these guys put the video with a horse, they're taking the horses to swim at Pebbles Beach. That's a good thing that they're doing. You know what I mean? But you gotta track horse people. A lot of people like horses. They may not like horse racing, but they like horses. And you show these people up here, you know, you expose that. People want to come down there and see it, and be part of it. But hey, what do I know? You know what I mean? I'm just I'm just a regular guy like you, man. So they don't pay they, they don't and and if you don't come from I'm pretty sure maybe you did come from a well-to-do family in Barbados, but
oh
me,
no,
I come
man.
from I come from poor people, so you may know, no, you know what I mean. We 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 wasn't that affluent group of people growing up. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So
man. The
yeah,
the the uh
yeah,
the
yeah.
more upper class people, they kind of turn their backs to
Right,
people
right,
like
right,
myself and probably you. I don't know for
right.
sure about you,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
turn it
Me,
back to
me
me.
too, man.
A
Yeah,
lot of times
yeah,
people say,
yeah.
"Ah, come on, Derek, knock it off." But I know why. Hey, man, I lived there for 16 years, and
Right,
I
right, right, right. Yeah.
I got a little bit of it, so I know.
Right, right. So there you go. So we both on the same, what I mean, same page. But but guess what? We've made it, you know. So thank God, So uh,
Sometimes you gotta do it the harder way, man. Not as
right,
easy as
right,
everyone.
right, right. So yeah.
So are you watching the Woodbine races? Because and one thing I would tell you, man, because Woodbine Woodbine has some decent races, but I know that the Americans don't completely pay attention to Woodbine. But because I hear it even on TV, like the way how they're talking, they kind of like put Woodbine on the back burner, right?
Well,
Meanwhile, Woodbine is the biggest thing here in Canada, right? So
right.
uh, what's your
No, I
view
like
on
Woodbine,
Woodbine?
man. I like Woodbine, man. Woodbine got some, man. You guys got some good trainers and some good horses. I remember that horse a couple of years ago, and Todd Plesher ended up getting the horse, a turf horse from, I think the guy was from Barbados. I can't remember the name, but the horse was pretty damn. He got the horse pretty cheap. He won a couple of turf races, and then he
Oh,
sold the horse to Todd
for
Plesher.
Nathan
Yeah, that's the
Nathan
guy.
Spars.
Nathan Spur. Yeah, no, I don't remember the name of the horse, but the horse won a few races for Todd Plesher too. Yeah,
Yeah,
turf horse. I don't remember the name, but yeah,
I haven't seen that horse done anything lately. I don't know if it's a filly or used to be
yeah,
maybe a mirror
yeah.
by now, but
No,
I'm
no,
I'm
but
not sure
yeah,
still runs or not.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you guys, and even what's his name? A couple of years back, there he claimed that horse, the Starship something from in Florida.
Starship
And he won a
Jubilee.
yeah, and won all. You know what I mean? And won all those races. Man. So yeah. Yeah, yeah, Kevin, man. Them guys up there can train, man. I follow Woodbine, man. I don't follow hardcore every day. Like most of the times I get a program, I look to see who, be honest with you, I look to see who Devon Giddens got racing. That's who that's who, basically, like, oh, I like to see because his name, I remember not him per se. But Giddens, I went to school with a couple kids in from St. Philip, and the last name was Giddens, you know what I mean? So that name ring a bell with me, you know what I mean? Some schoolmates from back in the days. So I just every time I open the farm, I just look for Devon. See, this is the Wednesday racing farm.
Man, you're
Mhm.
you're a hardcore guy, man.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah, well, I just look and see. Sometimes you don't have to bet, but you just like to keep track of stuff. So that's it.
Yeah, I guess it's just
Yes.
like any newspaper because you get in the
Yeah.
news no matter what, right? And they do have
Yeah.
some good information
Yeah.
in
Sure.
there.
There. Right. Right. Yeah.
I'll be honest
So,
with you, I haven't bought one in a long time, but because
you don't
I'm
have to.
usually
Yeah.
I'm usually not at a track like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
usually at home or behind the scenes or doing something else, but
Right.
not at the track itself. But
Yeah.
it's good. I want to tell you something because I'm not sure if you are aware, but I just recently heard something. So you spoke of Devon or Devin
Yeah.
Gittins,
Devon. Yeah. Yeah.
Devon Gittins, and
Yeah.
and he was the first I think first trainer to reach like 100 wins in such a short space of time
Yeah.
in
He's
North
pretty good,
America.
man. He's a good. He's good. He's good.
If someone can correct me on that, but I believe that was the article. Or that's what I heard. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe someone who has more or better information than me maybe could comment
Right.
on that. But that's what I heard. So hats off to him. And I'll tell
Yeah.
you something. And he carries such a good attitude towards the races.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm pretty sure there are people who probably criticize him or as
Yeah.
usual, it's always someone
Yeah.
who don't like
Yeah.
you.
Sure. Right.
But
Right.
I mean, for what I see, appearance and carrying yourself to the races, I think is good. What do you
Right.
think?
Right. I think so too. Every time I see him, he seems to be well polite. I heard him speak on TV. The Woodbine, people interviewing. He's well spoken. Don't seems cocky to me. Seems very level headed. He remind me of younger Charlie Baker back in the day. You know what I mean? So that's why I think one of the reason that I follow him so much, because he remind me of a young Charlie. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's really good to see and good to see him get a little bit of spotlight here because I
yeah.
remember he had just came over from Winnipeg and
Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
nobody would assume that nobody would think that he would win so many races.
Yes,
Well,
right.
not like a
Right.
lot, but it's enough
Yeah, but 20
if the guy comes
races
to
there,
Winnipeg.
Woodbine is pretty good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
you
Remember,
know.
I took. No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead. The stage is yours, man.
No, I said no, no. Just remember, we gonna get that interview with Charlie, with
Yes,
Charlie
yes,
Baker.
yes. Yes,
So,
we'll set that up and get to hear
yeah,
from Charlie, man.
yeah,
Looking forward to hearing from him and just to hear his story too as well, because it's always good
right,
to get somebody different, you know,
right, right,
just a different vibe, a different story, different storyline, everything. I mean, to
right,
me, is only intriguing, right?
right. Yeah, yeah, get some other jockeys too. I'll figure, I'll figure some of these guys out over here.
Who
You
who are
know,
some of the hottest jockeys over there now in your area?
the Finger Lakes
Yeah,
are. Well, your girl right there, she rides over here too. Sophie, she wins a few races over here. She's over here. Um, but over here you got Andre Ward. He's Jamaican. He's a leading rider at Finger Lakes right now. He's a leading rider. So maybe we work something out and get him. I'll get him hooked up if you get on the show too. You
yeah,
know,
that'd be cool, man. That'd be
uh,
real cool.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get him. Yeah,
Now,
you
are
know.
you still doing the handicapping down there?
But I can only do that stuff when I'm not working. But I just fill in coming as a guest handicapper. But what's her name? Jackie Davis. She's doing it with Dave Mattice right now. But when she go back riding, and I'm off, I'll fill in.
So what's her story? Why is she not writing?
She got hurt. She got
Okay.
hurt earlier in the season, so she haven't been right. I think she probably will be back. I don't know, maybe in a couple of weeks. maybe before the season's over. Next year, but I think she'd be back before the season is over. I think she's under some concussion protocol now. That's
Mm.
what I.
But what do you think? I don't know if you pay attention to this too as well, but I see like Deshaun Parker writing down at Thistledown.
Yeah,
He was one
yeah,
of my like favorite jockeys at Mountaineer for many years.
many
And
years. Yeah,
like, what do you think about him now? I mean, I guess he's a little bit older now. I guess.
yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's a rider though. He can ride, but he got
Mm.
hurt. He got hurt at Sam Houston or something like that. I think I
Yeah,
read
some
it.
crazy
Yeah,
place like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But he's back now. So that's good. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's a lot of information for one night, my
Oh
man,
yeah, yeah,
mailman.
yeah, man. Yeah, anytime,
Uh,
we can hook up, but we can get some people on here, you know, some people on this side of the river.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to change it up a bit too, just to hear a little bit more from that side of the pond.
Right,
Get some people who don't always get shine, and that's
right,
that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, right?
right, right.
You know what I mean? So, like
Yeah,
Charlie, I'll be very excited just to hear his story because I know you talk a lot about him. So
yeah,
I'm happy to hear from him
yeah,
and some of the other jockeys too as
yeah,
well who
yeah.
don't really get a lot of love like the
Right,
big tracks do.
right, right. Yeah, we gonna work something out. We get Charlie first, and then try to get Andrea Worry. You know, say, "Go, here's another, Jamaican jockey, leading rider." So it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It is possible.
definitely.
Okay. So, so these guys from Barbados don't think it's possible. It is possible because here it is. Here it is. He was riding in New York, right? He was riding in New York, wasn't doing too good, and this is a couple of years back. He decided to come to the small track, put his time in, you get the right agent, boom. And he won the championship there before, I think two times already. So, and he looked like me and you know what I mean? Just got the Indian here, but he looked like me. But I'm just trying to show people, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, hey, well,
Hey, look,
it could be
mailman,
done.
it's a
It
pleasure
could be done.
talking with you, man.
Yeah,
It's
man,
been
it's always
almost
good.
an hour. It's so funny how an hour can go by so quickly,
Right,
just
right,
from pure
yeah,
conversation.
right, right. Yeah, man, it's always good, man. I appreciate you reaching out to me. You know what I mean? So, like I tell you, anytime you want to, link up, I'm here, man. So,
All right, my brother. Let's do this
all right,
another time. All
yeah,
right. You
all
stay
right, man.
safe.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good night, dude.
All right, you
Yeah,
too. Peace out.
all right, yeah.